welcome to the Advaita Vedanta Satsang. The ongoing sessions are on Aparokshanubhuti offered by Bindoji, and the text he uses to refer to the one with which is a word-to-word translation in English from Swami Vimuktananda is pinned up on the house on the room. Another link in the chat is to the Sanskrit version by Acharya Vidyaranya, which is also used by Bindoji to come up with this material for his sessions. And we are on the 39th session. All the other 38 sessions are available in Clubhouse as replays, or you can go to Advaita Retold channel, and it's well cataloged there where you can follow all these sessions. And for housekeeping, we're going to shut down the chat and hand raising for about an hour, after which Bindoji will be open to answer a few questions. Over to you, Bindoji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. We'll continue with our last class, which was discussing on the Mounam. So let me do the invocation before. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishubhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashivritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibeda Vibhakine Vyomavapyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. To summarize in the last class, Mauna may be taken as the renunciation of all names and forms and related disputes or debates concerning Brahman. Because even the word Brahman is a word that also has to be dropped, because in that state there is absolutely no transaction, avyavaharyam, in the Mandukya terminology, achintyam avyavaharyam. So we cannot even think about it. We cannot do any transaction in that. So the silence or the Mauna, which is being referred here, has to be understood from that point of view. And for whom is this silence? It should be understood the one who has attained a sahaja sthiti. Sahaja sthiti means natural abidance in the self. He is seen by others as a embodiment and available in this world. But from his point of view, he is in a state of sahaja sthiti or natural abidance in the self. He doesn't see other than himself or anything. There is no himself. There is only Brahman or the self which is there for such a person. And when there is nothing other than that, how can there be any transaction? And in the absence of transaction, the words or, these have names and forms and disputes, etc., has no relevance at all. He is in the state of absorption in his presence. There is no otherness in him. So the two terms which is referred in the Taittiriya, I may recall it. Yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha, where the words fail and the mind is unable to capture or grasp it or even imagine that. This being the state of the sahaja sthiti, or the state of absorption in the presence of the self itself. And for such a person, udaram antaram gurute atasya bhayam bhavati. He doesn't see that otherness in him. So therefore, there is no transaction for him, such a level. So if somebody is objecting, is in the silence merely restraint of speech? In the ordinary terms, is it not what is being referred here by Shankaracharya? So the text says gira iti. That means the words, restrainment or control or, places where we keep our mouth shut and, the agitations in the mind, which also needs words and forms to happen. These are all not Mauna when you control the thing. The true Mauna is not simply the absence of speech, but the silence of the very intellect in absorption in Brahman at a far deeper level than the verbal restraint. The two senses of Mauna, the negative part is the giving up verbal transactions about Brahma versus world. There are people who are arguing that prapancha, the world, phenomenal world, is there even for the jñānī, and he is transacting in the world. This is one set of people who are objecting to this state. For the point of view is that from the point of view of the person who has woken up from a dream, the people in the dream are no more there or separate from him because it was his mental projection. But suppose somebody is thinking that or arguing for the purpose of argument, saying that for the people who were in the dreams, they see this person as woken up, but he is still in the dream because others can see it. No, that is not the way it is to be intended. That is the way in which we think that even a jñānī who is in embodiment in the waking phenomenal world is for the one who is in the waking. Once you have understood everything is Brahman, there is nothing other, none otherness. That state of absorption in Brahman, even the physical world and the waking is absorbed into it. It is not separate from that. So that the arguments about Brahman and the phenomenal world is not the Mauna. When that is being subsided, it's not what the Mauna we are talking about. It is again the Sahaja Sthiti. Sahaja means natural. Sahaja means birth. Sahaja means by birth or by default. Sthiti means state. So, what is our state which is natural, where there is no transaction, no mind, no words, no intellect, no sense organs, nothing of these are functional. That is what is Sahaja Sthiti. And that, what we are experiencing in the Amani Bhava or in our deep sleep, is what is being referred. And for the realized, the Mauna is not practiced as a behavioral pattern. No, we do control our saying that I am today in a Mauna Vrata, means I am not going to be using words for my transaction today. So that is the nature in which some people will be referring to it. So that it is a practice. But for the one who is in Savajasthiti, this is not a practice, but is their natural state, abiding in the pure awareness without any type of, movement or oscillation or, there is nothing other than that. Mere physical control of the tongue is a practice which is done by people who are not understanding what is a Savajasthiti. So, when knowledge of the truth, or when we realize who we are, our true nature, when we realize that Savajasthiti, it destroys all sorts of wrong concept that I am the individual, the phenomenal world is where I am a part of it. All those things are destroyed. And when all of them are destroyed or found to be non-existent or real, unreal, that is mithya, there is no need of argument. This silence itself proclaims the truth of our true nature. So, the Mauna Vyācya, Parabrahma Tattvam, in the Dakshinamurti's passage, is what exactly what it referring to. So here, he says that avācya means without words. Manaso govachara, yat sakshat aparokshat brahma. All of them are saying that this is a positive silence of self-absorption. It is not we are going into a state of deep sleep and saying that I know nothing and I was in deep sleep. That is a tamasic or, negative way of Mauna. But here it is a positive one, where the awareness is full. You are that in the plenum of awareness, there is what you call a state where otherness is dissolved. Yet, from the point of view of those who are observing him, they will feel as if he is interacting with the world. But from his point of view, he is in a state of Mauna, and his vag niyama, or shutting down his mouth, or not uttering a word, etc., should not be construed as a practice. It is a transcendence of disputes or dialogues or interactions. Concepts. There are no concepts because no otherness. So, when in the Sahaja Sthiti, only one person who has really absorbed in his own being, he can be called to be a Mauni. And such a person, in his experience or in his anubhava or anubhuti, It is a state where he cannot say that he as an individual is there. Only when he as an individual is there, the phenomenal world also will be there for transaction. The ego, when it is dissolved, there is no otherness in him. And in the absence of otherness, the words, the forms, the dialogues, everything is not in a state of control, but in a state of non-existence. Because when you control the words, forms, dialogues, etc. in the transactional world, it is a practice and then a methodology in which people absorb themselves or keeping protected away from the transaction. But one who has attained this absorption in the presence of the self, there is absolute, what you call, awareness, and it is not a state of deep sleep. It's very difficult for words to explain the experience of such a person, because words are non-operable or cannot be operational in that level. So the best is absorb into yourself. So for the purpose of Aparokshanubhuti, we saw that yama, niyama, tyaga, all of them have been discussed, but Mauna being the very essence of where you turn into yourself. And once you turn into yourself and absorb in yourself, all space, time, etc. all becomes redundant. To explain that is the next verse. Ādau vandecha madhyecha jano yasmin na vidyate. 110 verse number. Yenedam satatam vyaptam sadesho vijanaha smrata. Ādau antavucha madhye. Ādau means beginning, antau means end. Madhye, in the middle. Yasmin, in which. Janaha means those who are born, or the people, or the universe. Na vidyate. Yena idam satatam vyaptam. Because here, right now, the whole world is, pervaded by the phenomenal nature of the world and the people in it. But when you absorb yourself into your own self, this multitude of the phenomenality which becomes vijanaha, means without people, or becomes barren or devoid of anything other than that. So the Mauna and the Desha, we have to understand it in the way in which, idanim desham lakshayati ādau viti atra janasya traikalika bhava anubhavikaha sapratityetneya natu laukika shastraya pratitibhyam virodhati bhavaha spashtamanyat. So here that word this is also a similar verse we can see in the Mandukya Karika. Ado vando jayadnasti madhye vitatadaha. So that is being referred to that which is not there before, and after realization also, if it is not there, means the phenomenal world is not there before. Now we are all experiencing the phenomenal world. You are there, I am there, the phenomenality is there, multiplicity is there. All of them are being experienced now, madhya. When realization takes place, this again becomes one, where the self-absorption, there is nothing otherness. So madhya means in the middle, when we are experiencing the phenomenal world, cannot be something separate from what is there in the beginning or what is going to be in the in between. What is being is an appearance or a pratiti, or what you call as a feeling. And that is why it is called Traikalika Bhava. In the snake was never there in the rope before or after realizing it is not snake, it is rope. In between we see the snake. That snake which is being experienced in the middle can have no locus standi. There is no desha for it. From where it has come for it to exist, and for where it can take birth and die. All the three times what was there was only the rope. Same way for the jñānī who has realized, he now realizes that this experience of the phenomenal world is not phenomenal world at all, different from himself. It is his own nature. The phenomenal world is not names and forms, but the appearance of the names and forms are from himself. So that is what is the 110th verse is referring to. And in the 111th verse is the time again. After the space comes the time. Kalanat sarvabhutanam brahmadinam nimeshataha kala shabdena nirdishto hi akandata akhandananda kva nimeshata. Nimisha means the time taken for a wink or the batting of an eyelid. So nimeshataha, in the time which is being considered here as the minutest. Brahmadinam sarvabhutanam kalanat. Starting from Brahma to the minutest creation. Kalanat, on account of producing. Kalanat means to produce. Akhandanandakaha advayaha hi kala shabdena nirdishtaha. Now it is, what is being said that is like a batting of an eyelid is actually the creation. The time which is required for the phenomenal world to be perceived or to be experienced is similar to batting of an eyelid, or the time which is required for that much. Why? Because if we consider eternity of, or the nature of self or Brahman is Ananta. Ananta means Akhanda, Ananda, Ekaha. Means undivided bliss and existence is the nature of Ananda, Atma or Brahman. And it is Advaya. There is nothing which is separate from it. So in between, when we are feeling that there is a phenomenal world, it is because, creation of the phenomenal world is like a batting of an eyelid when you compare the time of the infinity of the nature of Atman or Brahman. So therefore here, we have to understand that the Kala is like the Desha which has been mentioned earlier. Here, this also is a reckoning by us. Kalanat means reckoning. When we are reckoning the presence of phenomenal world, the reckoning is taking place on an adhara or a substratum. Sargasthiti pralaya, what is happening in the creation, existence and dissolution is what is giving us the feeling that there is a time. The time is a concept arrived because of the creation of, which is being experienced during the phenomenal world is being experienced. But when we understand that is unreal, because adau andau cha yadnasti madhyevi tattataha. All the time the rope was the reality, or the water is the reality, the waves are not being the reality separate from the water. The creation and the dissolution, existence of anything, whether it is the snake or the waves or anything for ornaments or anything, jar, anything for that matter, we feel that aspect of creation, existence and dissolution, we feel the creation of time. But when that is unreal, the snake is unreal, the wave is unreal, there is nothing called a time at all. Just as there is no space apart from Brahman or Atman, anything can come up. There is no separate time also where a creation happens, a dissolution, existence happens and dissolution takes place. When we go to the 112th verse, Sukhe naiva paved asmin ajasram brahma chintanam asanam tad vijānīyāt na itaret sukha nashanam. Yasmin sukhena eva ajasram brahma chintanam bhaved. Where easily, indeed, unceasingly, the meditation or, absorption in Brahman happens, that is the asanam, the posture, vijānīyāt. Because even the asanam is part of the yoga definition for the yama, niyama, etc. Asanam. But here in Advaita, asanam means posture, is absorption in Atman or Brahman itself is the asanam for it. Else, everything else is sukhanashanam. What is other than that is creating what you call one's happiness is being destroyed by that process. Asanam lakshayati sukhenaiva iti yasmin sukhe sukharupe brahmani chintanam kartavya akartavya chinta na eva bhavet tad brahma asanam vijānīyāt anyat jñānīyāt atyanyatvaha. Idrisham Brahma ajasram kalatraya avasthaitvartha sugamanyat. Asanam laksheti sukhenaiva. Now the asanam which is being referred here, Vidyaradya says that is yasmin sukhe swarupe brahmani chintanam kartavyam akartavyam chintana eva bhavet. There is nothing which is to be done, ought to be done, or not to be done, not to be done. In a state of being content, kartavya akartavya bhava. That means I have to do this, I don't have to not to do this, I should not do this, I should do this. These type of even thoughts are not possible when you are absorbed in Brahman. Tad Brahma asanam vijaniyat iti anyatha. That is the sukha asanam or the asanam which is as per the Advaita. Asanam means posture or abidance. In the Brahma, which is kalatraya avastha rahita, there is no three state or three times, present, past and future, etc. So, when time itself is not there, space itself is not there, which has been denied in the previous two verses. The posture or abidance in Brahman is without space and time, and therefore it is an eternal state, because time itself is non-operable there. So only when we are able to understand that our true nature, we are never away from our own true nature, we should be able to understand that being abiding, knowing that we are always what we are, and it can never be away. So we are not the waker, not the dreamer, nor the deep sleeper, but we are that Brahman or Atman, which is always the case, where there is no space or time or doable or non-doable or any sort of transaction not possible. That abidance in the self is what is the asanam which is being referred in the Advaita. There is something called a siddhi in the yoga. Now that is being referred in the 113th verse. Siddham yat sarvabhutadi vishwadhishthanam avyayam yasmin siddha samavishta tatvai siddhasanam viduh. Yat sarvabhutadi vishwadhishthanam avyayam iti siddham yasmin siddhaha samavishta tat vai panditaha siddhasanam viduhu. The one who pandita means the one who has realized. They understand that is the siddhasanam which is being referred. Asanam and siddhasanam. Asanam is abidance. Siddhasanam is resting or, a state of contentment where nothing else is to be done. Siddha means achieved. A posture of achievement or a state of achievement where nothing is to be done. Sarva bhutani vishwadhishthanam. Everything is, dissolved in that state as avyayam, into the immutable Brahman or my own nature. That is from when the whole world has come out from me, from the deep sleep, state, the world of waking or the world of dream had come for me, I am also not present in that state of my own nature. The Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, all the three, the waking, dream and deep sleep, are absolutely non-present. That state is what is called the Siddhasanam, which is being referred here in the 113th verse. Vidyaranya Muni says that Prasangad asana vishesham lakshayati siddhamiti. Siddham cha tat asanam cha avastha asiddhanam asanam siddhasanamiti. Karmadharaya tatpurusha samasabhyam brahma eva ityartha. He is not giving much of explanation to it. It's basically, incidentally, it is called siddham, means achieved, accomplished asana. That is what is called the siddhasana, what he is referring here. There is nothing specially to be added to that. Now the 114th verse. Yanmulam sarvabhutanam yanmulam chittabandhanam मूलबन्धः सदा सेव्यो yogyo asau rajayoginam. For the rajayogins, asau sada sevya. This is always what is being, performed or achieved. What? Sarva bhutana moolam chittabandhanam yanmoolam tad moolabandha. The root, restraining in the root of everything. That means the cause from which the phenomenal world of waking and dream and deep sleep is coming. That is the root. So the Raja Yogi, not the typical Patanjali Raja Yogi, the Advaitic Raja Yogi is a person who understands that this appearance of the phenomenal world is non-separate from him, and it is from him the whole thing is come. He is the root. The root cause for the phenomenal world is himself, and they are not separate, non-separate experience. So there is that abidance in himself. Even though it is being seen as separate, the separation is a mithya or a feeling, a phenomenon which is created because I am observing them through an instrument called mind. When that is understood, the root under which he is able to dissolve that. See, when you know the cause, you can eliminate the effect. The effect of the phenomenal world which we are experiencing as the waking and dream is now known to a Raja Yogi as himself. It is the world is nothing but himself. It is from Mayeva Sakalam Jadam Mai Sarvam. When Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita also, it is from me everything comes and into me everything dissolves. He is the state of the Raja Yogi. There that he knows that the waking and dream has come from me, not the individualized ego of the waker, but the one who is the reality or the Sagaja Sthiti, that Pandita. That is what is referred as the Moolabandha, of the equivalent to the Moolabandha of the Patanjali Yoga Shastra. Vidyaranya has given a slightly larger explanation between the Hatha Yoga and this thing. Comparison, he has given that. Atha moolam bandham lakshayati yanmoolam iti akashadi sarvabhutanam yanmoolam adikaranam brahma. Brahman is the cause for the creation of the akashadi. Tada chitta bandhanam chittasya bandhakaranam moola ajñānam. So the chitta bandhanam, that bondage of the mind on the phenomenal world is due to the cause of the intellect onto the reality of the phenomenal world. That is due to the primordial ignorance or the moola vidya. Tadapi yanmoolam yadashrayam pratak satta shunyatvat iti yadva chintasya bandhanam eka-lakṣye nigraha. That ignorance too has the root in the substratum of Brahman only. What is the moola vidya? Avidya means that which is not there. Avidya yad vidyate na vidyate tad avidya. Avidya, ignorance is that which is not there. Ignorance means we think that ignorance is something positive. No. Ignorance is absence of knowledge. The absence of knowledge can happen only in the knowledge. The knowledge only, if it is there, the absence of knowledge also can be felt. So, the ignorance which is there has got the root in the Brahman itself. Because Brahman is the knowledge Swarupa. Because there is nothing independent existence other than that. Alternatively, the binding of the mind means the restraint to the one target. That also is the tasya bandhana. Tadapi, yanmoolam yasya brahmana prapti nimittam ityartha. That too, it has a root in Brahman. See, even ignorance is in knowledge. When you say that I do not know something, say for example, when I say I do not know Chinese, the ignorance of Chinese also is in the knowledge of myself. In my knowledge only, my ignorance is shining. Sa moola bandha iti avnyoyaha. That is the true moola bandha. That is the cause for the ignorance. The ignorance cannot come from somewhere else. Rajayoginam vyavahare api avikshikta chittasya lakshana rajayogaha. Tadvatam jnana paripaga yuktanam ityarthaha. For those who are endowed with the ripening of the knowledge or have the self-knowledge, this vikshapta chitta, this separation of, something other than himself do not exist. So, the phenomenal world is existing because we are projecting it and giving it a reality and forgetting our true nature. The moment we know our true nature, the dependency of the phenomenal world separate from us collapses. And we see the phenomenal world nothing other than our true nature itself. So that is why the moola bandha is the type of bondage is due to the ignorance of our true nature. In the 115th verse, Anganam samatam vidyat same brahmani linatam nau chainaiva samanatvam rujjutvam shushka vrikshavat. Same brahmani, in a homogeneous Brahman, linatam, absorption, anganam samatam vidyat, equipoise and should be known, no chet, otherwise, shushka vrishkavat, like a dried up tree, rijjutvam, straightness, na eva, samanatam, equipoise bhavati. The absorption of the uniform Brahman should be known as the equipoise of the limbs, dehas samya. Otherwise, mere straightening of the body like that of a dried up tree is no equipoise. So in the asana, there is a state where you have to hold your, body upright and straight like a tree or a straight body. That is the Patanjali Yoga. Whereas in Advaita says that absorption in the uniform Brahman. When you are absorbed in that awareness of self or Brahman, there is nothing else. There is no body separate from you, from Brahman, to be kept as a straight, which is being told in the Patanjali Yoga system. In the 116th verse, Drishti jnānamayīṃ kritva pasyed brahmamayaha jagat tā drishti paramodhara na nasagravali na vala sasagravalokini avalokini. There is a posture which is told in the Yoga Sutra that by keeping the body straight and, you should look at the tip of your tongue, nasagra avalokini. So you should, that is the posture for meditation in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Here in Advaita says that, Drishtim jnānamayīṃ kritva pasyed brahmamayam jagat. So converting the vision from the ordinary one to the knowledge, the vision of knowledge, one should view the world as Brahman itself. It is not looking at the tip of the nose, which is the methodology for meditation. In the Advaitic meditation, it is the meditation through knowledge, where in the knowledge you know that the whole thing, the whole world, or the whole phenomenal world is not separate from Brahman. So that should be the vision, or that should be the way in which you should be looking at the world, not by the tip of the, what you call, nose, etc. Drishtadarshana dishyamanam viramo yatra va bhavet. Drishtistattvaiva kartavya na nasagravala avalokini. Here again, continuing the same verse. One should not direct one's vision to that Brahman alone, where all distinctions of the Tripudi, the subject, object, and the act of connection between all ceases, and that not referred to be what is told in the yoga, Patanjali Yoga, by the tip of the nose. Here it is that the Tripudi of the subject, object, and the connection between the subject and the object, when that is dissolved, that should be the way in which we should be developing our attention and vision of the phenomenal world. Not what Patanjali Yoga says that, sitting in a Padmasana posture, keeping your Bhagavad Gita also talks about it. Keeping the body straight, like, the trunk and the head straight, and then looking toward the tip of the nose. Now, that is not what is the methodology. This is why the meditation of Atman is different from that of the Patanjali Yoga. So, 118. Chittadi sarva bhaveshu brahmatvenaiva bhavanat nirodha sarva vrittinam pranayama sa uchyate. Now he is talking about the pranayama. Now, taking the breath inside, holding it, kumbhaka, and then leaving it. So, the three aspects of pranayama. Chittadi sarva bhaveshu. All the bhavas means states of mind of the intellect. That is, in the intellect we have that I am the phenomenal world is there, the experience of the phenomenal world. All of them are chittadi bhava. Brahmatvena eva bhavana. This should be dissolved in the Brahman by the continuous remembrance that everything is sarvam khalu idam Brahma. Pranayama, the control of vital forces, is not the physical control of the pranayama. But here, in abiding in the Brahman, is of the intellect, of the chitta, is the Brahman which is being referred here. Nishedhanam prapanchasya rechakavya samirana brahmaivasti yavritti purako vayuriti vita tatvat drishtina vritti naichanchalyam kumbhagam prana samyamah ayam chapi prabhuddhanam ajnanam grana pedanam. So he is talking about the pranayama of Patanjali where, kumbhaka, rechaka, etc. is there bringing a prapanchasya nishedhanam. The negation of the multitude of the world, the phenomenal world, is the exhalation, rechaka. Samiranaha, breath, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, iti, ya vritti, sa purakaha. The inhalation should be I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi iti. That is what is that. By negating the phenomenal world and absorbing that I am Brahman as Rechaka and Puraka. Tad vritti naischalya kumbhakaha. That vritti or that steadiness in the thought where I am Brahman and abiding in that is the kumbhakaha, means the holding of the breath equivalent to that. Ayam api prabuddhanam prana samyamaha. For the enlightened people, this is the pranayama, not ajñānīs for grana pedanam. By the, pressing the nose and holding the prana. These are all for the ajñānīs, those who are not realized or those who do not understand the real meaning of pranayama. Rejecting the phenomenality or the multitude of the world of phenomena as separate from me. Absorbing that I am Brahman and Sarvam Khalidam Brahma, everything is in Brahma, and abiding in that as Kumbhaka and remaining in that is the real pranayama, not the one which is controlled by the prana. So I stop here. From 121 we will take in the Wednesday's class. I was thinking that I'll take a break and continue the classes in November. So I think that will be better. So from verse 121 to 144, there are verses which need to be explained. And since I am with my family here in Australia and summer has set in, then there are a number of days in which I have to cancel in between. So instead of cancelling one day and in between, I'll rather take a break and we will resume the classes in the November. November, which date we will announce it according to that. So most probably it will be, I am getting back to India on the Friday, November 7th. So we can have our class on the 12th, the same Indian time at 8:30 p.m. But before that, on the Sunday 9th, we will have the open house, and 12th we'll resume Aparokshanubhuti. The balance 24 verses are there, from verse 121 to 144. So till then, till the 9th of November, we won't be having any classes. I'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bindoji. I think you should take that 1 month break and spend some time with your family, and like you said, the summer is there, and then we can resume. I put a small note in the chat for people who check the chat, but we can also announce it in the chat in the in our house and remind people that October is a break month. But there's enough material, like I said earlier, to do the Shravana Manana. Yeah.
Yeah, in the sense that on the 9th of November we can have the open house, but
Okay.
not
I'll put that on.
Aparokshanubhuti.
Okay. I've also opened the hand raising and the chat. So if any one of you want to come up and say hello to Bindoji, have any questions, you're welcome to come up.
Okay, I think we will close the room. So thank you all for being there. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you everyone for being there. And please go through these verses again, because what Advaitic process is different from that of the Patanjali Yoga. That has to be kept in mind. We have only knowledge, jnānam, in the Advaitic method. Everything else is due to ignorance of the absence of knowledge. What are the rest of the things? The phenomenality of the world. So we will continue on the 9th of November with an open house, and we are waiting back to the Indian time of 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time for all our classes in the next class onwards. Okay, thank you all. Hari Om. Namaste.
Hari Om. Thank you, Bindoji. Hari Om.